Y'all, go ahead and buckle up because Lori Daybell has been deemed competent and she's going to be representing herself and her cases in Arizona. We're going to talk about all that in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's still back there. I'm right here. The boys are not here. If you're new to the channel, my name is Paul. It's nice to meet you. If you're not new to the channel, my name is still Paul, and it's still nice to know you and meet you. Yeah, okay. Now, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a kind of quick update. We're going to be revisiting the Lori Daybell saga, trials, whatever you want to call it, and looking at a couple of different clips and whatnot of the most recent things that took place. And this is in relation to her cases in Arizona. Now, again, just to do a very quick thing here, Lori Daybell is standing accused of several crimes in Arizona related to her overall case, okay? So she's already been convicted. She ain't basically ever leaving prison, okay? So now she's up against these new charges. Now, she was tied up in competency and this, that, and the other. Well, she has been deemed competent. We will look at a quick clip of that. And now she's also decided to represent herself, okay? And so the clips we're going to watch is like the judge asking her basic questions about that they do. Now, what we're going to do is at the end of the video, I'll give you my opinion, my theory of what I think we're going to see with her and her representing herself and her motivations for it. So that's how the video will be laid out. Now, again, keep in mind, if you're new here, I like to give this little spiel. I ain't a doctor, I ain't a lawyer, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a cop, not an investigator, none of that fancy credentialed stuff, okay? Only credentials we got up in here is that sofa and some sass over here. So these are just my opinions on very public information. I encourage you to come to your own decisions or opinions, whatever you want to call it, and we'll talk about them friendly like in the comment section below. Now, keep in mind the context here that we're going to be looking at is she faces two charges, okay? These are conspiracy to commit M. These are in connection with her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. Also he's a former nephew-in-law, Brandon Boudreaux, okay? So as we know, Charles Vallow did not survive, but Brandon did, okay? Now the trials are going to be totally separate, okay? So that's going to be interesting, I guess, but also unfortunate for the victims because, and their families and whatnot, because it's two more trials, okay? So there's that. Now, have been two advisory attorneys that are going to be assisting Daybell with the defense, which will help move things along, I imagine. Now, this is what we're going to get into here, is these clips and whatnot. And the first ones we're going to be looking at is some of this competency type stuff. So let's look at that, and then let's go over to the criminal court and look at those clips as well.
Lori Daybell, 6/26/1973.
Thank you.
Now, I just wanted to do that very quick clip, mostly because Lori sounds very coherent and very competent in these clips. I mean, she is allegedly competent, right? So I just wanted to put that up there because we don't really often hear her in these court situations, which we're going to hear much more of coming soon. So that's what that clip was for. Let's keep going.
Stipulation having been accepted, the reports having been considered, the court finds the defendant understands the proceedings, is able to assist counsel in her defense. The court further finds the defendant competent pursuant to statute. It is ordered affirming prior release conditions, and we'll get you a new date in front of Judge Boreski so you can proceed in your case.
Okay, so there you have it. Now, again, this is several days ago by the time you're watching this. So remember, the clip we just watched is the competency thing. They've got that done. It's cool. They're moving back over to the criminal stuff now. Now, if you have followed the Daybell cases and both Chad, Lori, whatnot, you remember that this was tied up in competency and all this kind of stuff for the former charges against her children and Tammy and these other cases that she's already been found guilty of. So this was relatively swift, in my opinion, here. Now, let's go ahead and move on over to those criminal charges that she's facing and look at some of the clips from there. Now, in this court, the criminal court, the judge is going to ask her a lot of basic stuff, okay? When did she graduate? You know, do you know this? You know, basic stuff, okay? And she would confirm that she's not taking any medications currently, which I found surprising.
Do you believe you're able to present a defense at trial?
I do.
Are you able to listen to what the court, counsel, and witnesses say during trial?
Yes, I will.
Do you believe you're able to ask witnesses questions that are relevant to the case and to your defense?
Absolutely.
Are you able to communicate effectively, do you believe, with the court, counsel, opposing counsel, and the jury?
I do.
Now, as you heard here, again, she's, I'm she's very coherent sounding. Now, the judge is going to make sure that she's aware that, you know what, if you're found guilty, this is what you're facing, and it's life with the possibility of parole after 25 years, and they can do these stacked on top of each other. She's seemingly fine with this. Now, the judge also outlines all the education, all the experience that her attorneys and team bring to the table in a way of like, you know, okay, this is, you've got this right here. You sure you want to do this? Now, you will also bring up a part about ineffective counsel that I found interesting. So let's hear what they had to say.
Can you just tell me a little bit why you want to represent yourself?
Yes, Your Honor. For the past 5 years that I've been incarcerated, I have taken it upon myself to study case law and criminal rules of procedure in the state of Idaho and Arizona, as well as federally. Prior to that, for the last 10 years, prior to my incarceration, I did study procedure in family law, and I have real trial experience. I have participated in 3 different full trials from beginning to end.
In family court?
1 in family court, 2 in criminal court, 1 bench trial and 1 jury trial.
Okay.
That lawyer's looking at her like, girl, you're smoked. Right. I mean, this whole thing right here of like, I've been in all these court cases, so I think I know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, well, you have fun with that, girl. Now, the judge also made very sure with her, like, look, if you choose to testify, this has to go a very certain way.
Attorneys to take over the case, you'd be effectively waiving any ineffective assistance of counsel claim that you might have because they might like a longer time to prepare?
Correct.
I feel like the judge has seen the Sarah Bone saga and he's like, absolutely not. We're going to nip this one right in the bud, okay? So he was like, look, this is not going to happen. Now, she was also made aware that if she was going to testify, it had to go a certain way.
All right. If you want to testify at trial, you'd not be able to testify in a narrative format. Instead, you'd need to write out the questions, and the advisory councils would ask you a question when you testify.
Yes, that's what I'm aware of.
I mean, honestly, thank you, right? The last thing we need is Lori Daybell up here doing a narrative format. It would never end. Okay, it would never end. And we'll get into some of my thoughts on that because that ties into my theory on how this is going to go. But for now, let's keep going. Now, also, he makes it very clear, like, look, you're not going to be switching back and forth. You're not going to press rewind. You're not going to pull a Sarah Boone, okay? And Lori herself did have questions.
Do you have any questions about anything?
I just was going to ask if we were going to move forward from this today and if we are going to be able to reset trial.
We will.
So Lori's ready to go, right? She's ready to go. Now, the judge would reset the trial, well, jury selection, I should say, for March 31st, 2025 at 9 a.m. When it comes to interviews and whatnot, the court appointed an investigator to help Lori with the interviews of witnesses and whatnot. And Lori, she's already gone to work, okay? She already was like, look, I've got this. I want to submit this,
I'll ask you again. My understanding is there's a large amount of discovery. You're sure that you're going to be ready in time for March 31st?
Yes, Your Honor. Also, I have a reply to the state's response. I know that we said if you were to let me go pro per that I would have 3 days to make this response, and I have a copy for the court and a copy for the state if I could give you that.
Response to what?
To the state's response to my motion to compel discovery that was filed prior to the Rule 11.
Okay, I'm going to have to...
I believe the public defender's office filed it, correct?
Was it your prior attorneys that filed the motion to compel
They did,
discovery?
correct, yes.
I remember now. We did hold that in abeyance because of the Rule 11 proceedings. So you can go. You're ready to file your reply? All right.
Now, the judge would also set a status conference for January 10th, Friday at 8:30 a.m. So we're quickly approaching this. So there you have it. You know, to recap here, she is competent. She's going to represent herself. She has a couple of attorneys that will stand by and help her. We have a January 10th, 8:30 a.m. status conference. We also have a March 31st trial, allegedly or whatever. We'll see how that goes or whatever. And there's that. Now, let's get into some of my overall thoughts about things and things that we reviewed in here. Okay, now looking back to those clips that we saw earlier when they were talking about, her with the witnesses and things of this nature. So this part right here, it concerns me because I think that she is going to use this situation, these trials, as a way to question people who I'm considered to be victims. So her son Colby, which, he has his own channel, Colby Ryan, look it up. It's great. He's, talking about a lot of the stuff that's going on, his thoughts and feelings. He's already had to really confront his mother on the phone. He's posted that. Kay and Larry Woodcock. I mean, the list is endless, right? Of people that she could get up there, including Chad Daybell. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if she could legally do that or not. But I think that that's going to be one of the components that she will, in essence, re-victimize a lot of these people. And I am definitely concerned about that. Okay, so now also remember back to the clip we watched where he's asking her about, her experience and all that kind of stuff, whatever. And she's just like, well, I've done this and I've done that, I've done this. Okay, so that part right there, it's giving Daryl Brooks, it's giving Sarah Boone, right? That part right there, I'm just like, what happened? I think they live, and when I say they, these inmates that we see that end up in defendants, whatever you want to say, that end up representing themselves and no, I got this, right? There seems to be a narcissistic type personality situation that goes with this of almost I can talk my way out of it. And this will speak to the further other deeper implications of her, in my opinion, representing herself. You know, like Sarah Boone did, like Daryl Brooks, these people who do that, right? Because if you look back at what she's saying, where it's like, okay, look, I've done A, B, and C, which is like a weird flex, okay? It's just like, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I still don't think that's good, but I don't think that it's justice that she's after, if that makes sense. So let's get into like my theory of how this is going to go, okay? And again, I ain't no expert, right? These are just my opinions or whatever. I think what we are geared up for is this. First of all, I don't think Lori's going to get all hung up on it, continuances, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 unless it prevents someone that she wants to question on the stand from getting up there. I think Lori is going to take this time to have her final say. This could be with Larry and Kay Woodcock, Colby, if Chad Daybell can get up there, Melanie Gibb. You know she's going to have something to say to Miss Gibb. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about, you know, okay? Just Google Melanie Gibb on YouTube or whatever you want to call it, YouTube it, and watch her stuff. Oh, she's going to have some stuff to say to Melanie, okay? She's going to grill her up there. But I also think what she'll use is this to treat it like a sermon. If you remember, if you watch my coverage or listen to Colby's actual phone call with his mother, this is recent. Again, Google or YouTube, what do you want to call it? Colby Ryan. His channel will come up. Definitely follow him. Very nice young man with a family. And he interviewed his mother, and she basically blamed it on her daughter, her victim, okay, Tylee, what happened to the kids and whatnot, you know, and Colby's not putting up with this, okay, right? Like this was he knows Lori, okay? So he's been victimized in numerous ways in this, right? But if you listen to the phone call that he had, at a certain point, it's like Lori turns it into this sermon. You know what I'm saying? Of like trying to get her belief system out and intertwine it. And I think that's what we're going to see here with the trial. I think that will take the forefront. I don't think Lori's going to want to sit here and like drag it out and be like, let's put it off, let's put it off, let's put it off. I think she's going to want to get up here and do this very quickly. Also, keep in mind, Lori doesn't have anything to lose, okay? She's already convicted somewhere else. She might not want to be in Arizona, but I don't think she'll ever have to go to Arizona, okay? Even if she gets 2 consecutive life sentences, it's like, okay. Like in her world, she still kind of has that delusional thing going on, even though she seemed to be very coherent and normal sounding here. She was that same way that she sounded on the phone call with Colby, but then it just deteriorated, right? And it's almost like when she's put up to answer hard questions and accountability, that's where we go into the sermon stuff. So that's what I think this is going to be. I think it's going to be just very typically of what we see with these people like Daryl Brooks and Sarah Boone and other cases like this where they utilize the space and time as like their own personal stage. And I think we'll see that with Lori as well. So that's it. Let me know what you think, what your opinions are. Drop it down in the comments. And while you're down in the comment section, drop some little sofas off there too. For myself, Rosco and Spirit, the boys who are running around somewhere right now. So I'll have a place to sit down, hang out, talk about this case, all the other ones we talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander our little way down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. You want to follow me and Rosco on the Insta, on the gram, on Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.